Director Vought, what components of the Department of Homeland Security are currently unfunded?
Senator, all of them are unfunded, including the Disaster Relief Fund. As we draw down that fund, we are not prepared for a natural disaster from a funding standpoint. All of the law enforcement agencies, TSA, right now we are temporarily using a fund from the One Big Beautiful Bill to pay salaries so that the Secretary of Homeland Security doesn't have a complete walkout on his hands.
Does that also include the Coast Guard? And,
yes, sir.
And CISA?
Yes,
the
sir.
Chief Cybersecurity Agency of the U.S. federal government?
Yes, sir.
So no money for any of those functions?
No money for the Department of Homeland Security in its entirety.
So I understand our Democratic colleagues are angry with ICE because they don't believe in enforcing our immigration laws, but the tool they've used to defund Department of Homeland Security reaches far more broadly than just ICE, correct?
That is absolutely correct.
I want to talk to you about defense spending. And do you believe, as I do, that national security is the first responsibility of the federal government?
Absolutely.
That all the rights and privileges and freedoms that we enjoy as Americans flow from our ability to defend ourselves and our interests?
Absolutely.
And President Trump has been, I think, courageous in demanding that our NATO allies step up their defense spending to a level of 5%. Is what the President has proposed in this budget, does it exceed 5%?
No, it should be in the area of 4.5%, 5%.
So basically what the President is proposing is that the United States do what he's demanded that our allies do in Europe so that the American taxpayer doesn't have to bear the burden of supporting the national security apparatus for basically the entire world. I was intrigued to see in the, I guess it was the Wall Street Journal, a story about Steve Feinberg and the Deputy Secretary of Defense, or of War now, and the transformation that is being undertaken to make sure that we are dealing with the changes in the way that wars are conducted. Obviously, Ukraine has changed the nature of warfare, and now instead of multi-million-dollar weapons, cheap drones and other weapons are being used on that battlefield. And ironically enough, Ukraine is now teaching the rest of the world how to use these new technologies. But talk to us in the long term. Isn't it important that we get the Pentagon in a better position when it comes to purchasing the weapons and aircraft that we need? And talk to us about the necessity of dealing with the ossified processes at the Pentagon in terms of procurement and acquisition of weapons, in terms of making sure that tax dollars are being spent on things that actually help our war fighters and help deter war.
Senator, I think this is a really important point. I mean, I think sometimes you can assume that the defense contractors are just putting out what is needed for the various things that we're going to have to deal with in this world, as opposed to getting the kind of annual, yearly, this is what we do, and we're not going to go beyond that. What the President has done and his team at the Department of War, and I've worked hand in hand with them, I've been in these meetings with the prime contractors and the President, is to say, you have to scale to a level that you have not been planning on, and that's going to require, you need to do it. It's based on your bottom line, but you need to know that you have a partner in us that will procure over many years. It's not just enough to have an added shift, right? You need more facilities across the country, and that's what this budget is designed to do. It's also coming at the time where the President's putting a lot of pressure on these same contractors not to do stock buybacks, not to do dividend payments, so that when you get to a quarterly earnings and they've got a backlog of ships, of which they do, that you're not rewarding bad behavior. And so this is part of a combined effort of putting pressure on that community, but also making sure we have the resources. So if they say, look, we're going to build a facility that's going to add X number of drones and planes and ships, that we as a buyer can be ready to take that good deal. That's what this budget is about.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now, or even better, start a monthly contribution today.